Moving on staying safe, we have public network safety. I presume this is going to be a very interactive one since we're having review sites here. Now the problem. The internet plays a gargantuan, that means extremely big role in modern life. With most people being connected in some way virtually constantly. As such, most public spaces, e.g., cafes, restaurants, public transport, are fully equipped with public Wi Fi to let people catch up on email. I can say that for hotels. I'm not sure about public transport in Lagos. To let people catch up on email or equally likely play the latest Eat mobile game. What many people don't realize is that expecting public Wi Fi to be available can prove to be very dangerous indeed. Now, public Wi-Fi, while incredibly handy, also gives an attacker ideal opportunities to attack other users' devices or simply intercept and record traffic to steal sensitive information. Yes, for those of you that like connecting to any public Wi-Fi you see, this is for you. This latter technique can be as simple as exploiting the fact that most people expect to see public networks available. The attacker can quickly set up a network of their own and monitor the traffic of everyone who connects. This is referred to as a man in the middle attack and is very easy to carry out. For example, if you were to connect to a network belonging to an attacker rather, then you logged on into an account for a website that does not use HTTPS, that it is not encrypted, the connection is not encrypted. The attacker could simply pluck your credentials out of the network traffic and use them to log into your account for themselves. This scenario will be explored in more detail in the interactive elements to this task. However, it is fortunately significantly less likely to occur with modern websites which implement the transport layer security to encrypt traffic between their servers and users as standard. I'm sure by now you already know that once you are going to a website and it is not TLS supported, you will see that you write this site is not HTTPS. Are you sure you want to go on? So that's like a layer of security for you to know that this site you are visiting does not have any encryption. Everything you are doing is sent in plain text, and any man in the middle can attack, right? So that's one of the reasons why it is very fortunate now we have this attack significantly less. Equally, being connected to any network, regardless of whether you trust it or not, makes your device visible to others on the network. You never know who else is on a public network or what their intentions might be. The fact that it is public means that you are not the only one there. And for every public place, you already know that there is someone somewhere that is watching someone somewhere. So we have to be very careful when we are on public networks. Now, what are the solutions? The ideal solution to this problem is simply not connecting to untrusted networks. Beneficial though public wireless how beneficial they are, the public wireless network, it will always be safer to use a mobile hotspot or a private network. Unfortunately, the ideal solution is not always feasible. When this is the case, we must rely on other methods of staying safe. So what are these methods? That's where we have the virtual private networks, VPNs. This encrypts all the traffic, leaving and erasing your machine, rendering any interception techniques useless, as the intercepted data will only simply look like gibberish because it has been encrypted. Whilst it is possible to host your own VPN server for free, most people prefer to use one of the many solutions that are available online. Some of these commercial solutions are free, but be warned, free VPNs tend to not provide the best security and often harvest your data themselves to make a profit. Actually, there is a common saying that if you are not paying for something, then you are the price. So the moment you are not paying for something, just know that they want something from you. That's all I'm going to say. So that said, the price of a good VPN is more than it's worth for the increased safety when operating on untrusted networks. There are many good options around, including Proton VPN and Mullard VPN, to name two. Now, connection security. In addition to the actions that you take to protect yourself, it is also important to be aware of the measures that online services take to protect you. All websites should now only serve information in the safety of an encrypted connection. As with using a VPN, this prevents an attacker from reading or modifying your web traffic if they intercept it. Now, the encrypted connection used to create HTTPS, that is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, is referred to as Transport Layer Security, TLS, and in most browsers is represented by a padlock to the left of the search bar, which indicates that the connection is secure. So once you see this, it indicates that the connection is secure. With this in place, your traffic can only be decrypted in very select circumstances, namely if it's a school or a work that manages the device and you are connected to a school or a work network. Note, the presence of the padlock indicates that the connection is secure. It does not guarantee that the website itself is safe. They are two different things. Whatever you are doing is secure, no man in the need to attack. But the website you are visiting, I don't know if it is secure or not. So in other words, a malicious website can still easily have a TLS set, meaning that your traffic with the server is encrypted, but that doesn't stop the site from having a malicious purpose. It's like just because somebody has a student ID card does not really mean that you are safe with them as a fellow student. Fine, they are a student, they have been identified as a student, but does it mean that other students are safe around them? Do you get the logic? That's like how simple I can make it. So if you're accessing a website without the padlock symbol, never enter any credentials or sensitive information, especially if you are using an untrusted network. All of you that they will say federal government is disbursing 15,000 naira for palliative, click on this link. Please don't click. They don't like you that much. Please don't click. Thank you. Sorry. In some instances, you may also see a padlock with a cross through it or an exclamation mark over it. It indicates that the connection is theoretically secure, but that there is something wrong with the certificate in use by the server. It's like when you go for NYSC now, some persons, their certificate, they'll just say, okay, go on next stage, and somebody like, which signature is this? When did you graduate? So they actually have a certificate, right? But there's something wrong with that certificate. So the presence of this altered padlock icon can mean anything from the server administrator simply letting the certificate go out of date to an attacker actively meddling with the security of it. So it goes like this. It could be because the certificate is out of date, or there's an attacker somewhere that is meddling with the security of your connection. So in other words, if the icon is anything other than a regular padlock, do not trust that the connection is secure. And it's so good that you actually be notified like this. So you may also encounter full page errors related to certificate security when trying to access web pages. This can look something like this. So when you have things like this, it's just best to just go back if you do not trust the connection. So as a general rule, if you see an error like this, you should click the go back button or equivalent in other browsers. It usually means that there is something wrong with the encrypted connection, potentially leaving your traffic open to be stolen. Please don't do anything sensitive. You know what I mean by sensitive? Finance, identity, all these things. If you are trying to do something very important like international stuffs, please and please, once you see things like this, just excuse yourself. It's better to be safe than sorry. Now, to answer the questions below, deploy the interactive content by clicking the green button at the top of the task. So we are clicking this green button. So we completed that. The interactive content for these tags demonstrates what can happen if information is sent over a potentially unsafe network with various types of encryption or lack thereof. There is no flags for these tags, but you are encouraged to try each of the different scenarios, mixing and matching the options provided in the control box at the bottom right of the screen. So let's do this together. I hope it doesn't take too long. Welcome to the traffic content. This page allows you to see how VPNs and HTTPS can be used to prevent an attacker with the ability to modify your information in transit. Let's see if we can have full screen. This scenario is most common when connected to public or otherwise untrusted wireless access points, such as those found in restaurants or public transport. Use the control panel at the bottom left of the screen to deactivate the different protection measures, then click the send request button to see the simulation go. Try experimenting with different combinations of protections to see the advantages and disadvantages of this. If you like to try this out, you can do this on your TryHackMe account. It's a free room, you don't need to be subscribed to do this. Okay, now we can see that there is the attacker, we have the victim, this is the destination, there's a gateway, and there's a VPN. So let's do this control and have the VPN on, so that if the VPN is off, you can see that it's a direct victim gateway destination and the attacker has access to this. If we switch it on and we send, okay, let's send the request out. If we send the request now, you can see that the attacker is smiling. That means they can see what we are doing, right? Good. Your request was sent completely unprotected, prompting the server to respond in the same fashion. The attacker was able to intercept both the request and response, stealing untransmitted sensitive information. They may also have modified either the transmitted data to alter your request or the response from the server to change the information that you received. So if you are working on an unsecured network and there is a man in the middle attacker, they can intercept and modify what you send to the server. They can also intercept and modify what the server is responding with. So on both ends, they are actually the one gaining. You are sending, in the real sense, you are sending the wrong information and you are getting the wrong answer, which you may not be aware of. Now let's switch on the VPN and we send the request. As you can see, the attacker is not smiling. That means it's not getting to him. We are back at our destination. Everything is encrypted, good and good, right? So what do we have here? Your VPN encrypted all the traffic entering and leaving your computer, stopping the attacker from being able to read any sensitive information, even if intercepted. However, this web request you sent was still unencrypted, meaning that the VPN server could read, modify, or log any sensitive data being transmitted. Do you understand that? Up to this point, it was encrypted. But from this point onward, the VPN can actually read the information we are trying to send across. And it can still, anything can still happen there. Yeah. Now let's switch on the HTTP. And that was because it's not using HTTP. The HTTP was off. Now that we switched on the HTTP, let's send the request. You can see it's going all the way to the gateway, to the VPN, and all the way to our destination. That means it is encrypted, right? Good. I hope you are following and you understand what I'm trying to explain. Now you send the web request encrypted using the HTTPS protocol, wrapped inside an encrypted VPN tunnel. The attacker was not able to read any of your traffic, and even after the VPN encryption was removed, the request made to the destination server was still encrypted, preventing anyone other than you and the server from seeing either the request or the response. Well done. So what this means is that because we are using the HTTPS protocol, the message we sent was encrypted. Then our connection was also secure because we are using VPN. So both the VPN and the attacker cannot see the content of the message, right? Good. Now let's try to switch off the VPN and have only our HTTPS on. That means we are only sending encrypted message and we are using a public network, right? Good. Now you can see it is going all the way. However, it's only encrypted. It is not following a secure network. Our attacker is still sad because they can't see it, right? You send the web request encrypted using the HTTPS protocol, prompting the server to respond the same way. This prevented the attacker from being able to read the captured traffic. However, any traffic that is not web-based may not be encrypted and can be read or modified by the attacker. Do you understand? So if the traffic is not actually web-based, they can still be read because the HTTPS is just for the hypertext transfer protocol, right? Good. Now what do? I think we are done with all our options. We have come to the end of this. There is no flag for this task, so we've tried each scenario and we've been mixing and matching the options. I hope I was able to explain the concept very well to you. Thank you very much. Bye.